Welcome to another deep dive, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Today we're diving into something that's like the foundation of good science. You know,
Yeah.
it's research integrity training.
Oh, yeah, RCR.
RCR, exactly.
Huge topic.
It is. It is.
It's how do we, make sure that the research that's being done is ethically sound? How do we,
Right.
raise awareness about ethical issues that researchers might run into?
Yeah.
And then how do we give them the tools to actually deal with those when they come up?
Right. And it seems like it's been, big focus in the U.S., at least since the early 90s.
Yeah, that's right.
when I
I
heard
mean,
of it.
there were some high-profile cases of misconduct
Yeah.
that kind of really pushed this to the forefront
Right.
and led to some federal requirements for training.
Okay. So the U.S. is kind of ahead of the curve there.
It seems so, and now we're seeing a lot of interest in the EU catching up on this as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So for today's deep dive, you shared a really interesting paper with me, a meta-analysis called Effective Strategies for Research Integrity Training, a meta-analysis.
Catchy title.
This is a very catchy title. And it was published in Educational Psychology Review in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked at research from 1990 to the early 2020s.
Yeah, they cast a pretty wide net.
Yeah. And what really struck me was this meta-analysis was really trying to test hypotheses,
Right.
about what makes this kind of training actually effective.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Unlike some earlier reviews that were more, kind of mapping out the field.
Yeah, just kind of seeing what's out there.
Right. Descriptive.
Yeah, exactly. This one was really trying to get at the why.
The why.
Why does some training work better than others?
Interesting. And I did see this paper has been accessed a lot over 9,000 times.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic. So our mission today for you, the listener,
Yes.
is to kind of pull out the most useful and actionable insights from this research.
Yeah, make it practical.
Yeah, cut through the jargon so we
Yeah.
can really understand what works and what doesn't when it comes to RCR training.
And maybe uncover some surprises along the way.
Oh, always, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to help you whether you're the one doing the training
Yeah.
or if you're actually participating in it.
Right, either side of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that really jumped out at me at the beginning was
Yeah.
how this study looked at different learning outcomes.
Yeah.
Right. And so
And this was really important because they didn't just lump all learning together.
Oh.
They analyzed how training affects different outcomes.
Okay.
Like your knowledge of the rules,
Mm.
your attitude towards research ethics,
Okay.
how sensitive you are to ethical issues,
Right.
your ability to actually make judgments about ethical problems,
Oh, wow.
and even how you behave in real life situations.
Wow. So very comprehensive.
Yeah, it was very thorough. And this is different from a lot of the earlier reviews that just kind of threw everything together.
Right. So it's like you're saying it's not all the same kind of learning. but-
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that's really intuitive when you think about it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect the same teaching methods to work equally well for helping someone memorize a list of rules
Right.
versus, really wrestling with a complex ethical problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even the study itself pointed out that, the correlations between these different ethical skills
Okay.
are often quite weak.
Oh, really? So just because you're good at one doesn't mean you're good at all of them.
Not necessarily, no.
Wow. Okay.
And that's why it's so important to look at these outcomes separately.
It kind of goes against that initial gut feeling that if you just, drill the rules.
Right. If you just know the rules, you'll naturally be ethical.
Right. You'll be ethical.
Right, yeah.
But it turns out those are very different things.
Yeah.
And the findings really back that up.
Okay.
So when we look at knowledge acquisition first,
Okay, so that's like knowing the facts,
Yeah.
the procedure?
yeah, just understanding the rules.
Yeah.
The meta-analysis found that individualized learning was the biggest factor.
Okay, so it's like studying on your own?
Yeah, focused solo study.
Was really effective for just knowing the rules.
Interesting. Okay, so for that foundational knowledge base,
Yeah,
individual study is very beneficial.
it seems to be.
Okay, but it wasn't just about, locking yourself in a room with a textbook.
Yeah.
They also found that discussion
Yes.
and actually applying the ethical standards
Yeah.
in practical exercises was really helpful.
Yeah, so actively working with the material,
Right.
both on your own and with others.
Okay, so it's not passive learning.
No,
It's active.
engagement is key.
Okay, cool. Now, this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
The study also found that courses that did not cover ethical standards explicitly
Ah,
tended to be more successful for some of those other outcomes,
interesting.
like attitude and sensitivity.
So how you feel about ethics and how aware you are of ethical issues.
Right, and that seems kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah, it is a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah.
But the meta-regression analysis helps shed some light on this.
Okay, so remind me, what is meta-regression analysis again?
Right. So meta-regression, it's a way to kind of dig deeper into the data
Okay.
and see why certain things were effective or not.
Okay.
So for knowledge specifically,
Mm.
they found that, individual learning, as we said, was good.
Yeah.
Experiential learning, so that's the hands-on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And directly applying guidelines, those were all positive.
Okay.
But then they found negative effects for mandatory courses.
Oh.
So if you're forced to be
They're
there,
being forced to learn this.
it didn't seem to help with knowledge.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
A purely theoretical focus, also not good.
Okay.
So avoiding real-world cases.
Interesting. Okay.
And then this was a surprise, not teaching the guidelines also had a negative impact.
Wow. Okay. So for knowledge, you really need those guidelines in there.
It seems so, yeah.
But the way you approach it is crucial.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. So for knowledge, we've got, individual study, practical application, good.
Yeah.
Forced learning, theoretical focus, not so good.
Yeah.
Now, what about those other outcomes, what they called orientational learning outcomes?
Yeah.
So that's things like attitude, sensitivity, and behavior.
Yeah. So it's like your overall ethical compass.
Right. So like how you feel about ethical issues, how aware you are of them.
And how you would actually act in a situation.
Okay.
So for the standout finding was experiential learning.
Okay, so that's really engaging with ethical problems.
Yeah, and in a way that you're emotionally involved.
Oh, okay, so it's not just thinking about it abstractly.
No, it's making it personal.
Okay.
Wow. Really thinking about how you would feel and respond in that situation.
Okay, so putting yourself in the shoes of the researcher
Exactly.
facing the problem.
Yeah, the key takeaway here was passive learning doesn't really build an ethical compass.
Got it.
You need that active emotional engagement.
Okay, so I'm starting to see a theme here.
Yes.
It's not just knowing the rules.
Right.
It's about experiencing them.
Exactly. It's about developing that ethical muscle memory.
I like that. Okay, so experiential learning for that.
Yeah.
The study also found that courses combining individual and group learning
Right. A mix of both.
seemed to be good.
Yeah. But they did say this finding needed more investigation.
Okay,
There were some limitations in the analysis there.
got it. But potentially that mix could be good?
It's promising?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about the idea of who you're learning with?
Oh, yeah.
Because the study also looked at whether groups with people from different fields were better or worse.
Right. So mixed disciplines versus everyone being from the same background.
Exactly. And I know they did this thing called moderator analysis to look at that.
So moderator analysis, it lets you see if other factors like the mix of people in a group influence the outcomes.
Okay.
And what they found was that mixed discipline groups might actually be beneficial
Interesting.
for these orientational outcomes.
So for attitude, sensitivity, behavior,
Exactly.
a mix of disciplines could be good,
It might be, yeah.
which kind of goes against some previous research
Yeah, some older reviews suggested the opposite.
that you want everybody to have the same background.
Right, but this analysis didn't really support that.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got experiential learning, potentially a mix of individual and group work,
Yeah.
and maybe even a mix of disciplines could all be beneficial.
It's shaping up to be a very dynamic learning environment.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's move on to judgment.
Okay.
So this is like your ability to actually weigh different ethical considerations
Right.
and come to a sound decision.
In those messy situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What did they find about that?
Well, once again, experiential learning really came out on top.
Okay, so that theme is really consistent.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah. They found that exercises that asked learners to imagine their own responses to ethical dilemmas
Okay.
were much more effective than just, having impersonal discussions about hypothetical cases.
Right, so really putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah. What would you do
Yeah.
if you were faced with this problem?
Okay, so again, it's not just about knowing the rules.
Right.
It's about putting yourself in that hot seat.
Exactly. And feeling the pressure
Yeah.
and then figuring out how you would navigate it.
Interesting. Okay, and the meta-regression analysis backed this up, right?
It did,
Okay.
yeah. It showed a significant positive effect for practical experiential engagement with ethical problems.
Okay, cool. So anything surprising about what didn't work for judgment?
Yeah, actually, there was.
Yeah.
They found a negative effect for the number of teaching methods used.
Oh, so the more methods, the worse.
For judgment specifically, it seems that way.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, sometimes less is more.
Right.
Overloading learners with too many different approaches might backfire.
Okay, so focusing on a few really effective methods.
Right, quality over quantity.
Might be better than just throwing everything at the problem.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting. And there was another counterintuitive finding?
Yes.
Right.
They found that higher education students and non-research professionals
Okay.
seem to learn less in terms of judgment compared to high school students and researchers.
Oh, wow. That is surprising.
Yeah.
Why do they think that is?
They speculated that maybe for the non-research professionals,
Yeah.
it's just not as immediately relevant.
Okay.
You know, they don't have that kind of personal connection to the dilemmas.
I can't really imagine themselves in that situation.
Right. And for the higher education students,
Okay.
maybe the complexity or the way it was framed just didn't resonate as much.
Okay.
Whereas the high school students,
Yeah.
moral judgment development is really pronounced in adolescence.
Right. So they're kind of in that zone.
They're primed for it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're really starting to see that some of the common assumptions about RCR training,
Yes.
may not hold up.
Right.
So like one of the big ones is the idea that purely intellectual discussion is the most effective.
Right. The classic case study approach.
Yeah. Just sit around and talk about it.
And the meta-analysis really challenged that. They found it was significantly less effective than experiential learning, especially for developing judgment.
Right. So it's not enough to just talk about ethics.
No.
You really have to experience it somehow.
Exactly. You got to feel it.
Okay.
You got to put yourself in the situation.
Another common belief is that longer courses are always better.
Right. More is better.
Yeah.
The longer, the better.
But the meta-analysis didn't find any evidence for that.
Really?
No, when they analyzed individual outcomes,
Okay.
the length of the course didn't really matter.
So it's about the quality,
It's
not the quantity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, short-focused interventions
Okay.
can be really effective, especially for knowledge.
Okay.
They highlighted a study that used a digital game.
Oh, wow.
And it was very successful in a short amount of time.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's about tailoring the length to the specific goal.
Right. Okay. And what about mandatory versus voluntary training?
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Because a lot of places make these courses mandatory. Right. They figure everyone has to do it. Yeah. But interestingly, the meta-analysis found that mandatory courses had a negative impact
Really?
on knowledge specifically.
So knowing the rules was worse
It seems so, yeah.
if it was a mandatory course.
And they think it might have to do with motivation.
Okay.
If people are choosing to be there,
Yeah, they're more into it.
they might be more engaged and receptive.
Right.
Whereas if you're forced to do it,
You're just checking the box.
you might not absorb it as well.
Makes sense. And then finally, the idea of having homogeneous groups, everyone from the same field.
Right.
This review didn't really support that.
No, their analysis didn't find any evidence for that.
So maybe having a mix of disciplines is actually better.
It might be, yeah. We
Yeah.
need more research on that.
Okay.
But it definitely challenges the assumption that everyone needs to be from the same background.
Okay. Wow. This is really eye-opening.
It is, yeah.
So much to think about.
Yeah.
So for you, the listener, what are the big takeaways here?
Okay, so if you're trying to really learn the rules, the procedures of research ethics.
Yeah, the foundational knowledge.
Exactly.
Right.
Find opportunities for individual study
Okay.
and then engage in practical discussions about those standards.
Okay, so work with the information actively.
Yeah, don't just passively listen.
Okay, individual study and practical discussion
Yes.
for knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. What about building that kind of deeper ethical compass?
Right. So developing your judgment, your attitude, your sensitivity,
Okay.
how you actually behave.
Mm-hmm.
The key here seems to be experiential learning.
So,
Put yourself in those ethical dilemmas.
right.
Really think about your own reactions, your own decisions.
Yeah.
That emotional engagement is crucial.
It's not enough to just know the rules. You have to practice actually using them.
Exactly. You got to put yourself in the hot seat
Okay.
and then figure out, okay, what would I do?
And don't assume that just memorizing the rules makes you an ethical researcher.
Right. Those are two very different skill sets.
Good point. Good point.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah. Be wary of information overload,
Okay.
especially when it comes to judgment.
Okay.
Too many different teaching methods can actually be detrimental.
Wow. Okay, so less is more.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
So focus on those experiential approaches for building judgment.
Okay.
And then finally, remember that your own background and the context of the training can influence your learning.
Okay.
So whether it's mandatory or voluntary or prior experience, all of that can play a role.
Right. Okay, so this has been a really fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Lots to think about.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up by highlighting some of the most surprising findings for our listener.
Okay, well, for me, one of the biggest surprises was just how consistently experiential learning outperformed intellectual discussion.
Yeah, it really was striking.
It was.
Okay.
And in the way that covering ethical guidelines impacted different outcomes.
Yeah.
It was helpful for knowledge,
Yeah.
but potentially less so for other areas.
Right.
That was interesting.
Interesting. Okay.
And then that unexpected negative effect of mandatory training on knowledge.
Yeah, that was really surprising.
It was.
Okay, so for you, the listener, you now have a much more refined understanding of what makes research integrity training effective.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will help you in your own learning or even how RCR is approached in your field.
Exactly.
So this brings us to a final thought.
Yes.
Considering all of this,
Yeah.
what are the implications for how research ethics is taught and learned in your area?
Right.
What kind of learning experiences would really foster research integrity,
Yeah.
going beyond just knowing the rules?
Right. Yeah.
So we encourage you to think about how you might seek out or even advocate for more experiential learning
Yes.
in your field.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us,
It was a pleasure.
and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Bye.